So I guess the joke's on me. With all the automotive channels that I follow, no one ever explained that for every 1 minute of welding, you got 10 minutes of grinding. This was a brand new disc and it just took forever. But I did get some great advice from Mr. Fireman 164 Roger. He said he used this little 3-inch Rolock, and I seem to take it off a lot better.
Hello and welcome back. So in this episode, we're going to get this floor pan on the passenger side completed, as well as I'm going to prep this whole side and get it all in epoxy primer. Now I've been thinking a lot about all the different steps I got to do and what order I got to do them in to make sure I get them in the right order to get this completed. And a lot of these steps, things I've never done before, so we're going to kind of fumble through those. And I hope you enjoy following along. First of all, I got some just little pitted rust areas. I've got a pot blaster that I could wheel this thing outside and do that type of stuff, but instead of doing that, I'm going to treat it a little bit differently. After that, we're going to do some fiberglassing on the seam that we've created here. After that, I'm going to get some etch primer in this edge down in here like I was wanting to, and then right following that, I'm going to put in some seam sealer down in that edge, and that way I'm now ready to put in the bottom of my A-pillar extension. So we'll do some welding on that, and then we're going to be sanding and prepping this whole thing, and then I'm going to be doing some 2K epoxy priming, which I've got all new equipment, and I have to come fumble through that and make sure I get that situated right. So anyway, let me bring you in a little closer and let me show you where I'm going to get started. Okay, so some small pit rusting that I have in here. There's some little pits down in here, and down at the bottom is a little bit of rust, and along in here, this edge, there was some along in here in different places. So, I've got an option. I could keep grinding this down until I got rid of that, but I'm going to be grinding down good metal. I don't want to do that. So, two options I think I have is, one is I do own a pot blaster, and I could take this outside and basically sandblast this or media blast it and get rid of that. That would be one option, but then I'd have a lot of debris. For such a small area, I didn't want to do that. So I did look at one of the guys that I subscribe to. His name is 265 Chevy Hansen, and he was using a product called Evaporust, where he's doing a Firebird, and he's got some rusted bolts that took a bucket, put a bunch of Evaporust in there, and dropped those bolts in there, and overnight it basically removed the rust from them. So I wanted to give this a try, and so the instructions actually kind of give you a good idea. Just put the paper towel down if you soak it, and just keep it soaked overnight, that it'll keep that stuff. And I could see where it's raised some rust. In fact, I've got an area right here that was full of rust, and it's completely gone. So pretty sure this is going to do the job. The one thing I did notice is an area where I had squirted some of that stuff on there, and where it kind of dried by itself, it's kind of sticky. And one of the things I'm real scared of is adhesion of all the other layers I got to put on top of this. So I did read on here that once it's done doing its job, all you do is you rinse it with just clean water. And I think what water does, it actually neutralizes the acid that is being used to dissolve the rust. So I'm about ready to pull this stuff up, and then I'm going to get this squirted down and cleaned up best I can. I'm going to clean it with water, then I'm actually going to rub it down with some denatured alcohol. And once we get all that stuff done, we'll be ready to start doing some fiberglassing. All right, so I think I covered it pretty well, and it's now pretty good and tacky. It's beyond tacky. It's not completely hard. And I'm going to start sanding it off with some 80 grit. So let me get the respirator on and start sanding. All right, we got that all blended in, and that turned out really nice. I'm real pleased how that looks. And it's my understanding that you use the fiberglass over the welded joints, first of all, to fill in any small pinholes, but I think more importantly is fiberglass is like a form of plastic, and it creates actually a vapor barrier or water barrier so that moisture doesn't get to the welds. I think welds rust really quick, but I'm just guessing. So got that done. Next, I'm gonna over here in this edge, I'm gonna put that line of weld through primer and get that prepped so that I can put my bead of seam sealer down, and then I can get the A-pillars welded in. So let's get that done. All right, work's continuing today, and I'm pleased to announce I got a guest mechanic. This is my oldest son, Spencer. He's a senior at University of Georgia, and he's done pretty good at welding, so we've done a little practicing this morning, and I'm going to let him get this A-pillar extension welded in. So let's see how that's going to look.
Let's get us some welding.
I would go and try and just tack weld, not on the very end, because that's going to blow out.
Yeah.
Come right in the center and tack that there. Might want to lay a tack right there. And then lay a tack right here.
Yeah.
And then let's move this over, and I want you to do that. Just start going for it.
Okay.
This section's a little more wavy than I really had originally thought it was, and when I put that first coat of fiberglass and started sanding it flat, it became very apparent that there were some little bit high spots and some low spots that I wasn't getting to, and I actually had some really low spots in my fiberglass, so I ultimately put a second skim coat on here, a very thin skim coat, and now I've got that sanded all flat. So this is right where I want it for this part of its progress. Ultimately, it's going to get a whole coat of epoxy primer over it, and then just a real thin skin coat of body filler, very thin, to try and really get it good, relatively smooth. So we're going to stop there out here and move on to the next section. Okay, made a lot of progress. Sanded this to 80 grit, 150, then 220.
My epoxy primer wants it up between 180 and 400, so I'm good there. Blew it off, vacuumed it up, wiped it down several times. I've cleaned the floor several times. I am going to tack rag it one more time and get ready to spray some epoxy primer. This will be the first time I've ever done this. I'm kind of excited, kind of nervous. I've been actually collecting all the tools to do it for about a year. Been slowly picking up all the equipment, so I think I've got everything to do it. I just got to now break open the can and kind of get it started, so let's do that. Well, we're done. We got it all in one color. Got a nice couple coats of 2K primer on it, and it looks good all in one color. In fact, I can actually see some little dings, but that's typical on a Jeep body. That's probably been there since the thing was manufactured. But nice to have this in one color, as well as is all that metal now protected. Ultimately, the interior of this Jeep is going to have, I'm gonna go back with carpet, and what I have not decided yet is whether or not under that carpet I'm going to do like a single stage black paint with like a Dyna-Mat or some kind of a mat on there to help keep the heat down, and then maybe even some padding and carpet, or scrap all that. If I do that, being an outside Jeep, you might get some rain in pockets, and then I just don't want to create a headache. The other option is to go with some kind of a truck bed liner. You got Monster liner and Raptor liner and all these different. I had to research and see which one of those is best. But I may do that and then just put the carpet straight on top of that. That way, if water gets in here, it does have a chance of getting out through some of these weep holes. So, but I'm glad to have this whole section done, and we'll be able to kind of move on to something new. Hang on. Hey, come here. Let me show you what I got. All right, remember that big old hole that was right there? That's gone, and there was a big old hole here. In fact, this whole piece was rotted out.
Is there something here?
Yeah, there was. Behind this, there was a big piece here that was missing, so that outside piece has been done. I got all this front quarter, or front half of it's all complete.
What's new? Just the little section?
Well, it's about a 16 by 16 is a whole new panel.
But this right here is
that's
all,
old. That's
okay.
original.
it's all painted, but we'll be carpeting this and ultimately it'll be a little better. Pretty cool?
My side's done. What are you gonna do your side?
No. Get out of here.
Jack it up.